now. Okay. So I want to get started right away so that my buddy Paul can have as much time as he wants. And please don't be intimidated by his shoulders or his arms. He's how tall are you, Paul? 6'5", 6'4"?
6'2.5". You shrink as you get older, Ricardo.
I know. I used to be 6 foot. I'm 5'10". I know that very well. Thank you. So, yeah, but he's still an imposing figure. It's kind of hard to hug him because it's hard to reach him. But anyway, so Paul and I have known each other for probably, I'm thinking 25 years now, Paul, something like that. 20, at least 20.
At least.
Yeah. So
long time.
Yeah. What's that?
Long time.
Yeah. And Paul has been recognized and still is one of the most sought after title coaches, title consultants in the country. And he left the title business and went into the mortgage business. And, I figure anything Paul touches turns to gold. But we were meeting the other day, and he brought so much information to our meeting every time he does. And the reason Paul's been so successful in title was because he basically, and I'm going to let him tell the story, but he would say, what you think that if you wear a nice outfit or a short skirt that you're doing a real estate agent a favor, and that you're going to earn their business as a title officer or as a title rep. And his concept, I'm going to let him explain all of that. But what I want to say about him at the beginning of the call, and I'll let him take it from there, is that he is a wonderful, kind Christian human being, number one. Number two, he's a wonderful dad and a very committed dad, and he's an amazing husband and a terrific son and uncle. And I just love him to pieces. He's like a brother to me. So I'll let Paul Johnston take it away.
Well, thank you so much, Rick, and right back at you. Much love, brother. So I appreciate the kind words. So real quickly, like Rick was saying, I made a decision many, many years ago as a title rep versus just bringing pens, pads, and calendars and asking for deals. What can I do to bring value? And I'm taking that same approach on the loan side. But I did have the privilege. I just interviewed this is over the years, every single top producer I could to figure out what tools, strategies, what ideas, what technology they're using to remain competitive and be successful. And I just really developed a love for consulting and truly motivating not only the title reps, but I've done a lot of realtor workshops across the country over the years, and just motivating realtors and figuring out basically what's our daily workout is what I like to call it, because we're in this business, and especially me now on this side, 100% commission, that we kind of have to do what we don't feel like doing sometimes, and that's the daily workout to remain competitive and successful. So I'll get into that. So the presentation today is really about the main 5 pillars of prospecting, and then I'm going to get into demographics, and I'm going to get into that part where Rick was really excited, and so am I. And it's this data guru that I met, and this guy's like a brainiac. He's got like five different degrees, college degrees. He's really nerdy, but he's the data guy. So he's just perfect for the demographic type of stuff, the quickest path to a commission in any given market. And he does these analytics that are incredible. And I'll get more into that. And then Rick and I spoke about, I'll touch on it with him. And then maybe what we can do is set up a presentation directly with him and what he has to offer, because he not only provides the data, but he's got different programs for coaching. He's got different programs for different tiers. Do you want just the data, or do you want the scripts? Do you want the actual postcards that are unique? And we'll explain more about that. But the presentation is kind of an overview. I think I've spoke to some of you before. I may or may not have, but we'll go through it pretty quickly. And I think you guys will enjoy it. So let me share my screen.
Yeah, and Paul, we have just FYI, Paul, this call is open to people from any company all over the United States and Canada. As you might have heard, we have New York, we have Philly, we have Chicago, we have Monterey County, we have Southern California, we got all kinds of cities and states. Oh, we've got Michigan's here, and yeah, so there's a lot. So you go for it, and I'm sure it's going to apply to everybody. So
awesome. Yeah, it's pretty universal. So can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let me switch a couple things here real quick. I gotta get this in. There we go. Okay, So let's see here. So we're going to talk about, today, what makes top producers, why so many agents fail to reach their potential, the 5 pillars of prospecting, solutions to the 5 pillars of prospecting, and then we'll talk about implementation and accountability. And we'll get through this pretty quick, but who says sales isn't stressful? Do you guys do? Let's make this a little bit interactive, but are some of you feeling the stress in today's market?
For sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. There's some people. We're alive. I love it. Of course there is. It's a challenging market. And all I can tell you on that is good markets never last and bad markets never last. But it's really how we react to that. It's that 10-90 rule that you've heard your whole life from your parents or whoever you heard it from. But it's life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react. And do we shut down? And or how do we react to these markets? And that's really what differentiates the top agents from the rest of the pack, is how they react. So the greatest way, we can't really eliminate all fear and anxiety. I mean, we're human and the market can be tough and it's our income and it's our livelihood, but you can certainly reduce stress and anxiety. And the greatest way to do that is through action and implementation. So we all know what we need to be doing every single day, but are we really doing it day in and day out? And I can tell you just from personal experience, sometimes when we shut down and we procrastinate and we're not working on stuff, we have too much time to think. And that's when we stress out because we have too much time to think. So if you're working on stuff, this is the time for, my God, what did you not have? What did you always want to do in your real estate career, but you could never do it when the market was crazy? This is the time to start thinking about all that. Do I have a rock solid past client program? Do I geographic farm? Am I doing that intelligently and correctly? Is it efficient? Is it working? Do I want to step out of my comfort zone a little bit and start doing some videos? And I told Rick, I've been doing videos and I'm the biggest ham there is. I can go present in front of 200 people, no problem. I've been a musician my whole life. I've played a million weddings. You talk about a ham, you're looking at a ham. But for some reason, when I got behind the camera by myself in my house for a video, it freaked me out, and it takes practice. And I deleted it like 30 times because I hated the video. I hated looking at myself on the video. And then I went to my wife and I said, do I sound nasally? I mean, she's like, yeah, well, you're a little nasally. I'm like, I'm nasally, and you just start analyzing and yourself on these things. So it's a good time to really step out of your comfort zone and really get busy working on stuff. And that's the single greatest thing you can do to reduce some of the stress, anxiety, and it's going to bring you results, because we can't think about, which is often the greatest mistake we all make. We think about just today. And we have to think about the things that we're doing today that's going to come to fruition 90, 120 days from now, and really set ourselves up for success, not only for today, but in the future. All right. So why are top producers top producers? Well, one, they have the attitude is everything. It's the old mindset. It's the old Zig Ziglar check up from the neck up. And it's how are we thinking? And are we thinking negatively or are we thinking positively? And I can tell you the top realtors are usually very optimistic, and they focus on opportunities versus the challenges. I'll give you a quick example. My father-in-law, 2008 or 2009, when it was just the crash happened, it was absolutely horrible. And how many of you remember that? I'm looking at my screen over here to see the attendees. A lot of you, were you guys through that, the challenging times back in 2008 when the market crashed?
Yep.
So my father-in-law made over $1 million in 2009, or one of those years where it was just horrendous. And the reason why is he chose not to look at the challenges, but the opportunities. So he went around to all the large banks and became friends and built relationships with the asset manager and sold literally over 100 and something REO properties and made over $1 million. So, I mean, it's a mindset of where are the challenges? And I remember other agents during that time were saying, I'm not doing a short sale. It's a third of the commissions and 3 times the work. But that's all there was. So it's really, like I said, the checkup from the neck up is having the right mindset going, okay, here's the opportunities. Let's get through this. It's only going to get better. But they're extremely disciplined with their time. So top producers know that time is money, and they're very focused with their schedules. And I know Rick, I believe you still do this, but I'll be returning calls between this time and this time. Otherwise, he's in appointments. It's very structured. They ask great questions versus basically showing up and throwing up on listed appointments. What I mean by that is I'll give you a quick story. Two agents go in to get a listing. One of them is a 30-year veteran, Diamond Club, sold 101 homes, top producer, number one in the particular city. And the other one's a brand new agent that just came out of real estate training. So the brand new agent walks out with that listing and beat that 30-year vet. And the reason why is that 30-year vet got a little complacent and had a listing presentation and started talking about himself and his brand and how many homes he sold. And for some people, they're saying, where do I sign this? I want the number one person. But there's these particular people, the brand new agent came in, instead of just presenting, I want to ask great questions. So the first question was, what's the most important thing to you when it comes to selling your home? And two, what's important to you with working with an agent? And they said, I'm so glad that you said that or asked that, because this is the first time we're selling, and we've heard nightmare stories about agents being too busy and not returning calls. And it's very stressful for us. We need somebody that's going to really take the time to hold our hand through the process and that's going to communicate effectively. So that agent that told him about 101 homes basically told him they were so busy and scared him off. But it's just asking those great questions. It's basic sales 101. It's just a good thing to keep in place. They have systems and a time block for prospecting. And then also it's really about how many people are we talking to? So how many appointments, more importantly, how many conversations are you having a day with people that are potential buyers or sellers? And I got to ask you this. What's the number one question that you guys get?
How's the market?
How's it going? How's the market? And how do you respond to that? It's really important, because if it's the number one question that we get every single day,
I
it's
curl up
really
in a
important
fetal.
how we answer that, because we can answer that in a profitable way, in a successful way, or a deal killer way. And what I mean by that is, sometimes we have that urge just to go right into the market. Oh, it's tough right now. There's low inventory. The rates are really tough. But that's exactly what we cannot do. Those are such great opportunities for business when somebody asks that question. They are not going to ask that question unless they're either interested in buying or selling, or they know somebody that's interested in buying or selling. So how we answer that is, well, that really depends. Are you buying? Are you selling? Are you investing? Are you interested in renting? Those are four different avenues that we all know are totally different dialogues and totally different answers. So it's really important to say it depends. It really matters. It really depends on what you're trying to do. So, but the silver bullet really is, how many people are we talking to every day? And are we doing our daily workout? So Brian, is there a question or? Nope. Brian Buffini will tell us, hey, do ordinary things on a consistent basis and you'll be extraordinary. And it's the truth. But it's easier said as done, because we get distracted. We lose, some days we just lose motivation, or we just lose focus, or we don't feel like doing things, which is normal. And that's daily outbound calls and contacts. But I can tell you, the daily workout is no different than, and for some of you that have talked to before, you've heard this example, but it's the gym. It's packed in January. And for those of you that go to the gym know exactly what I'm talking about. You cannot find a parking spot. The windows are fogged up. You can't get a machine. Everybody's gung-ho. They got bandanas and leg warmers, and they're like, this year, I'm going to seriously stay committed and I'm going to get fit. And what happens in March? You have 50 empty parking spots and nobody's there that were originally packed in the gym. And the number one excuse is, I just don't have time. But what they're really saying is, I don't feel like doing the workout. It's hard to do the workout consistently, and it's just not a priority anymore. Because if it's a priority for the first 3 months and they were there and those gyms are packed, you had people in there at 5 o'clock in the morning, you had people there on their lunch hours, they made it happen because it was a priority. And that is no different than our daily workout and prospecting, which is basically prospecting for real estate or mortgage, or, for us that have to go out and, 100% commission. So it's really, really tough. So there's very few people that are just self-motivated like that. So I highly, highly recommend, it's about accountability, and we'll talk more about that. But creating these daily habits or good habits will ensure that you're accomplishing the highest revenue generating activities day in and day out. And I just met with a couple of top producers yesterday. And one thing we agreed to is really just writing out your workout and refining your workout, especially now in this market. Like I said, what are some things that you want to implement, whether it's video, whether it's social media, whether it's farming, whether it's past clients. What are some things that you want to do? Maybe it's 5 calls a day where it's 25 a week and 100 a month. So we have the top producers are very structured like this, but print out your workout. Maybe get a whiteboard for your office and have all of your activities. And it's very visual to see, I can't check that off unless I make these calls. I can't check this box off unless I send 5 handwritten cards a day. Whatever your workout is, have it right in front of your face every single day. And I promise you, you'll start realizing, wow, I need to be more consistent, or you'll feel really, really good at the end of the day that you accomplished your highest revenue generating activities. I can tell you that the average agent on a national basis makes about $57,000. The average agent that prospects just 10 hours a week makes approximately $175,000. So it's that fishing analogy I like to use as well. It's in any given market. First of all, do we even have our fishing poles in the water? There's a lot of agents where they're going to training classes right now. They've kind of pulled back. The market's slow, and that's the worst thing we can do. We have to throw more lines in the water, and we have to fish where the fish are, and that's where the demographics I'm going to get into in a minute. But there's a lot of agents where they're basically sitting in the boat. They're putting on sunscreen. They're going through and reorganizing their tackle box, but they don't have any fishing lines in the water at all. So those type of realtors, like I said, are going to the lunch and learns. They're doing things, which is great, but you have to be prospecting at all times and have fishing poles in the water. And that water could be investors. I got to go after this type of fish. I've got to change my bait. This isn't working in this particular market. This lure doesn't work. I'm going to put this type of bait on, and I'm going to go to this part of the lake where the fish are, and we'll talk more about that. But basically the question is, what's your daily workout? Ask yourself that. What is my workout? Is it clear? Do I have it in front of me every single day? The other thing is, top producers do, write this down. This is really a good one, and it's the truth, but top producers do what they don't feel like doing every single day. Top producers do what they don't feel like doing every single day. And that's why they're number one, because nobody else feels like doing that consistently. Same with the people that are fit at the gym. Same with the people that are quality musicians. They don't want to practice scales and chords every day, but they do what they don't feel like doing because of the ultimate priority and their goal that they're looking to get. So let's get into some of the prospecting opportunities, and it falls basically into 5 pillars, and that's your past clients and sphere of influence, geographic farming, leveraging your sellers and buyers to grow more business, open houses, demographic niche farming, and then technology. And does anybody have any questions so far? Okay. You guys still there?
Yeah, we're all here.
Okay. Okay. So anyways, Crystal, thank you. All right. Opportunity number 1, past clients and sphere. Listen to this, you guys. This is so true. Almost 70% of every single transaction in the US comes from past clients and sphere. Only 3% of agents effectively cultivate leads from that source. They just don't have it set up. They don't have a CRM. They don't have a database. They're sending them a calendar once a year, and they never talked to them since. They haven't called. They haven't followed up. This is the stuff where I'm talking about, where, you know, I have another agent. She does the same exact thing I spoke about. It's 5 a day. It's 25 a week. She just checks in with people. How's it going? And they're quick calls. And sometimes you can use slide broadcast or slide dial, which, if you guys ever heard of that, slide dials where it just goes straight into their voicemail. So they just hear your voice. So you're present. So if they're thinking about buying or selling, you know, you're top of mind. Some people use slide broadcast. So what that is, that's a mass voicemail. And I had an agent try this, and this was back in the first quarter of last year. So it was a different market, but still the effectiveness was still incredible. So she made 150 calls. She left one voicemail, said, "Hey, it's Belia with ABC Real Estate. Just checking in with the great migration going on out of California. It's crazy, but if you're thinking about selling and moving out of state, I'd love to help you, and I hope you're doing awesome." And she hung up. And you can't say hello, Paul, but she just said, "Hey, it's Belia with ABC Real Estate." So it's flawless. She sent that out to 150 people in the first quarter, got 6 listings from that. And that's the type of technology that's out there. It's not very expensive. That's called slide broadcast. And that's a way to reach 1,000 people if you wanted to with one voicemail. It goes straight to their voicemail. That's something you can do once a month, just checking in. So that's slide broadcast. If you're not comfortable with the voicemail, You can use something like hit them up, which is mass personalized texting, but that's personalized. That's going to say, hey, Paul, hey, Rick, just checking in. Hope things are going well. If you know anybody thinking about buying or selling, whatever you're comfortable saying, it can be short and sweet, but think about the effective communication now that you have with your past clients, because now they're getting a text from you once a month or once a quarter, whatever you want to do. And you did that in 5 minutes for 300 or 500 or 800 people. So there's some really good stuff, just throwing some different stuff at you, a lot of data, but we can go back and look at this. You can set up a one-on-one appointment with me and we'll go over your business and make it personal as well. So we'll speed through this.
Guys, take a picture of that slide. That's got some great information on it. So
Already
Yeah,
done.
so what was that?
she
I
said
was
she
just
already
saying
did
I
it.
already did that.
Of course you did, Crystal. Okay, so but basically, it's just keeping in touch with your past clients. You've heard this a million times, but are we really doing it? And there's much easier ways to do that now. Okay, number 2, geographic farm. Here's the 2 common mistakes. One, most agents only farm when their pipeline's dry. I got to get out and door knock. I got to get out and farm. And that's a mistake because farm, you have to be consistent and you cannot stop. The second mistake is they don't see a return. They pull out too early. They give up too early. So it takes about 12 to 18 months, at least 12 to 18 months to really establish yourself as the neighborhood specialist, as the #1 agent in that particular area. And I can tell you for years and years and years, and I've done this for over 20 years, it's very rare for me to see any consistent marketing in any neighborhood I've ever lived. So the only one in my neighborhood where it's consistent, it's the top agent because they've earned it, because they don't care. They don't analyze. They don't say, they're just going to throw my card in the garbage. Of course they are after they see your face and contact information and you've branded yourself, and they don't want recipes. They don't want all these other things. They want to know, what is my investment worth? That's all I care about. But I see their picture. I see their contact information. Agents do. So what happens is they'll start doing it for a few months and then they get a referral from their cousin, mother or brother. They get busy working on their transaction. They stop farming. And what happens, when you first meet everybody in a farm, by the way, they're always arms up. I'm not selling. But what they don't understand, they don't know when the third unexpected baby is going to happen. They don't know when a divorce, terrible things, right? Death, divorce, all these life events come up. They don't know when a job transfer is coming. They don't know when they're going to move. So if they don't know when they're going to move, we don't know where. The only thing we can do to be at the right place in the right time is to be consistent. So it's dedication. It's the workout. It's all about consistency, because in that 3 months or 4 months that agent stopped farming, those life events happened and they didn't brand themselves and they weren't there at the right time. So it's not rocket science. It's just really being visibility, consistency, and follow-up. That's what it's all about to own a farm. The other thing is you can farm much more intelligently these days. There's a product called Title Toolbox. A lot of your title reps have access to this. If they don't have that, they'll have something similar. But you can really make sure you're farming in an area where it's at least 7% turnover ratio, at least minimum 5, but preferably 7 or more. They can tell you if a particular agent owns a certain percentage of that farm, it's probably not even worth your time if somebody's owned it for 20 years. So they can tell you the percentages, like if it's over this percentage, I would not farm in that area. They'll tell you the turnover ratios. They'll break down the data. You'll understand who's renting, who's a homeowner. There's totally different targeted messages for targeted audiences. So you can get phone numbers and email addresses. You can do Facebook farms, which is really powerful. Email campaigns, all that stuff's available to you. So, but I can tell you this, that life events in any given market, even in this market or a booming market, it makes up about 20% of the market. And that is divorce, death, NOD, tax liens, FSBOs. All of those have anywhere from a 29 to 50% turnover ratios. So all the stuff's out there. It's just a matter of sitting down with your title rep on the farming side and make sure it's a good title rep that understands their programs and can talk about that. Number 3 is really just an area where this is an
Paul?
easy thing. Yes.
Shauna on here that well, I think raised her hand. So, but now I don't see it. But maybe she has a question.
Hi.
Oh my God, it's Shauna Giraffe. I'm looking at my screen over here because I have to have you guys on the side. How are you?
I'm good. Forgive me, no makeup morning.
Oh, whatever. Good to see you.
Nice to see you too. Okay, so you know who I worked with for years.
Pull you over here. There we go.
Yeah. When I worked with Coco,
Okay.
she told me, because she farmed her new build, right? So she represented the new builders, represented all the buyers, went into resale, and then farmed the new build, right? That she had just sold to everybody. She told me that in her opinion, every agent could lose their farm at any time
Yeah.
because agents or people, rotate through, or the people that are there get tired of, only having one choice or two choice, but no one new comes in. So they just go with whatever, but there's always opportunity in a farm, she felt, in her opinion.
I agree.
I've always,
And not only that, like I said, some people prefer working with a male, some people prefer working with a female, and maybe the personalities don't match. You line up 10 people, we're not for all 10, unless we're phony balonies, right? But if we're true people, we're not
Yeah.
for everybody, but it's a great point.
I mean, I've never been a farmer, but whenever I've talked to agents and they want to farm, I always say, don't worry about the agents that are in there, but you should look at the turnover, because, that'll depend how long you're going to be farming, because if no one's moving, it might be a while.
Great point.
Yeah.
And I'm going to come see you soon, by the way.
Okay. Well, I'm actually,
Okay.
I pop into Rick's office, so we'll have to meet there.
I love it.
Okay.
Okay, so leveraging your listings. This is something that a lot of agents do. We just get too busy, right? And it's just such an easy thing to do, but it scripts for surround. Like when you have a listing, it's the easiest thing in the world, the greatest excuse to go talk to everybody surrounding that listing. And I know Rick still does this personally, and I have a lot of respect. He's been doing this a long time. He's got people on his team, but he still does this personally because he wants to be the one talking to the people, and that's what he's good at, is relationships, and he knows the questions to ask, but it's very, very simple. Your open house is the single greatest, easiest thing to leverage, and it's the greatest excuse to go talk to them. So for those of you that don't want to door knock because you feel like you're bothering people, here's a really easy script. Hey, hi, I just took a listing down the street with Paul and Cheryl. I promised my sellers I'd reach out and to all of you in the neighborhood and invite you guys to the open house. We're doing a open house at 11 exclusively just for the neighbors, and it's not open to the public until 1. With that said, I can just tell you that there's going to be a ton of traffic, inventory is low, and one of the first questions the buyers are going to ask us, is there any other properties coming soon in the neighborhood? Have you thought about selling? That's a script, but it's easy and it's true, and I'm blaming it on my sellers. I don't want to bother you, but I promised them I'm doing my job, basically, and it's just a non-threatening, and all you're really trying to do is make it warm and fuzzy so you don't walk up and say, hey, you thinking about selling? That comes at the very end, because the buyers are going to be asking, and it's a great time. And if you thought about selling, they're going to be asking me if there's any properties coming soon. So that's an easy thing. Like I said, if you guys at the end, I'll give you my email address, and I can send you guys any of this stuff, the scripts, whatever you want, sample letters and things like that. But it's really easy. And then the other thing is, like I said, get the tools with your title companies. They'll tell you who the owners are and who the renters are. So it's a different dialogue for the renters. Maybe there's 4 or 5 renters around your listing, and you'll know that when your title company either provides you with an app or gives you a walking farm. And it's simple. So now for the renters, I believe you're renting, correct? And they say yes. So you start with the same script. Hey, I promised my sellers I'd reach out to everybody in the neighborhood. With that said, I believe you're renting, correct? And they say yes. Say odds are you're paying just as much in rent than it would cost you to own a home. Have you thought about buying anytime soon? And they're going to tell you, we don't have 20% saved. And then you can tell them that's actually a fallacy. There's programs for as low as 3% down. Let me put you in touch with my loan agent, and there's your buyer lead. So very, very easy. I don't want to dwell too much on that, but letters also work too. And again, this comes back to that positive mindset, right? It's that positive mindset. And I can't tell you how many agents are like, letters just don't work. I'm like, well, they don't work because you say they don't work. And nothing's going to work when you say it doesn't work. But I can tell you this, one of the #1 agents in Fremont, about 30 to 40% of his listings come from, I have a buyer letter. So tell him that doesn't work. It's 30 to 40% of his listings come from, I have a buyer letters. This particular letter, is an actual letter that went out, and this is what an agent did to leverage their listing. But as you can see, it's very well put together. It's very professional. It's personalized, and you can get all of this stuff from your title company. So it doesn't just say hello homeowner. It's hey Tim and Luis, right? Just sold. It sold for 2.3. I mean, listed for 1.9. The crazy offers, right? 2.6 or whatever it is over asking price. But down here is a call to action. It's the hottest market. Give me a call. This particular agent, I know this agent out of Piedmont, this area where there was no door knocking, got 2 additional $2 million listings just from this letter. So it's just a matter of what are you willing to do that your competition's not? What are you willing to put into your workout plan and make sure that this stuff happens every single time? Every listing you get, you have a great opportunity to talk to all the neighbors and really leverage that for more business. I've talked to another huge agent out of Danville, and he's an owner, great guy, top agent, and he was like, and if you want any of this stuff, I'll send it to you. So he goes, man, that just really made me think, like, I could have doubled my business if I would have, because he never leveraged his listings. I'm all absolutely, but we get distracted. So it's all about discipline and focus. All right, demographic farming. This is when you start getting into, once your database is rock solid, once you're really communicating frequently and feeling really good about how often you're efficiently and effectively communicating with your past clients. If you're farming, once you figured out that your farming now is really intelligent at 7% or more, you're doing a great job. It's well oiled. You got stuff going out every month. And then once you're leveraging all your listings and buyers, once those first 3 pillars that we spoke about are kind of dialed in, then start thinking about what's another pillar I can add, and that's demographics. And that's like I spoke about. It's either all of the life events, which is 20% of the market, any given market, or it's, I want to go after every single 75-year-old that lives in a 2-story at any given farm, maybe the whole city, every single 2-story that has 75 years or older, because you know they're going to be moving, right? Or selling. Or maybe I want to go after every renter that makes over $150,000 in income. This is all possible these days. We didn't have this data years ago. And it's not very expensive. So it's kind of investing in your business to go after these type of things. Investors are absolutely huge right now, and I'll talk about why in a minute. But then the 5th pillar is really about technology and social media. We all know that, like I said earlier, it's that video is one of the most efficient ways to get your brand built. And there's consultants you can hire, but social media for sure. I mean, we all know that, and that's simple now. I mean, you've got real estate market companies. One of them's called Back At You. They're based in California. They're really, really good. You can pay them to do all your stuff, and they're not that expensive. The other one, Social Networks with an X on the end, is higher end. They're expensive, but it's depending on what you want to do. Breakthrough Brokers free. It's a free site that you can sign up for. They've got so many different things that you can post, flyers, marketing pieces, social media content. And then I have a program for my referral partners that I partner with that refer me buyers, and it's I pay for it. It's called List Reports. It's phenomenal, and I'll show you a little bit more about that. But the bottom line is really making sure your CRM, you have a CRM. And when it comes to which one's the best, it's which ones you're actually going to use, right? So any of them, but one of them that's pretty good. It's, I think a lot of you have some through, well, you guys have it through EXP, correct, Rick?
He left.
Oh, he left. That's real cool. I'm just kidding. Do you guys have?
I did not leave. What did? Who said I left? That's Laura. Are you
That's funny,
causing
though.
problems? I didn't leave. I just muted because somebody barged into the room. So no,
It's okay. It would have been embarrassing. But
What
we
was
would
it
have
that
laughed
you were
about it.
asking was free from? What were you talking about? KV Core?
So what is,
or-
does EXP have a CRM for the agents?
Yes.
Yes, but remember, this call is not about any company. There's all companies on here, but yes, most companies, yeah, KV Core is used by over 400,000 agents, Berkshire Hathaway,
Okay,
Exit
got it.
Realty, EXP, Remax just recently took on KV Core.
Yeah.
KW people have something called Command. And yeah, some companies, Shauna's ex, they used to use Ylopo, but I don't know that they're using Ylopo anymore at Next Home. But there's
Okay.
all kinds. Yeah. So sorry. Anyway. Go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. Okay, so
Really,
anyways,
Rick, you're
social
gonna
media.
start my morning off with my ex.
Say that again.
I said, really, Rick, you're gonna start my morning off with my ex.
Okay, moving on. Landing the plane. I promise. Pretty soon. It's hard for me to land a plane, but I will. What are you willing to do that your competition isn't? You know, you just really ask yourself today, are you willing to implement the power hour? It's basically a workout. Are you implementing and actually taking action? Because you guys go to Brian Buffini, you go to Mike Ferry, you get all fired up, you come home, you probably drive your spouse crazy because you're like, we're gonna change everything, or life changing. You go to these things, but then we fall back into that rut. We don't implement. And that's why these guys have made zillions of dollars and they haven't changed their product or their content in 30 years. They haven't changed their content in 30 years because people go back, they get excited when we're talking sales, but they don't implement. They go back. So it's writing down things and the goal and getting it done and being disciplined and really taking action. And that's what I said earlier. You want to eliminate a lot of your or reduce a lot of your stress and anxiety, get working on stuff. You'll feel, I promise you will sleep better at night. When I implemented this today, or wow, I finally got my farm started. Wow, I redid my whole database. I just sent a voicemail out to 200 people. You will sleep better when you get stuff implemented. So are you willing to do what you don't feel like doing every single day, the daily workout? And raise your hand if you're willing to implement just some of these ideas and if you're fired up. Raise your hand. I don't see any hands. Okay, I see a couple hands. Okay, I see a few. Now what happens is the answer is always yes when you're fired up and we're talking sales training, but why don't we implement this stuff? Why? And I'll tell you why. Because without accountability, it's very difficult to reach a high level of success in sales. And here's a fact. Research shows that without ongoing reinforcement, training, and accountability, 75% of learned information is forgotten within days. And participants ultimately retain just 10% of what they learned, so they don't implement. So we will forget all of this stuff. It makes me feel better because I forget stuff all the time. But the secret is to implement and have somebody hold you accountable. And I'm going to tell you right now, I had a great meeting with another top producer last week here in Livermore. And she was talking about her accountability group. And I'm like, gosh, that makes so much sense because they've been doing this for 30 years. And then she told me the other members in her group, and they're all the people that are top producers that have done this forever. It's not about how long you've done it. We all need to hold each other accountable because we get lazy, we lose focus, we fall off track, and we don't feel like doing it some days. So that's the secret. That is the silver bullet of success, is implementation and having somebody hold you accountable if this is really what you want to do for a living and make a lot of money. So getting back into this. So my company, very quickly, it's huge. It's my little 5-second plug here. We're backed by American Pacific Mortgage. We're licensed in 49 states. We're gigantic. And I'm part of Diversified Capital Funding here in Livermore. And basically, we're a broker and a banker, which gives us the luxury of searching all kinds, over 120 different loan products. Whatever is out there, we can find it. And we close about 90% of it in-house, which gives us the control to really get loans closed in as low as 8 days. But when there's things that happen, we can control that in-house and get stuff punched through to get these deals closed. So I personally love getting people fired up about home ownership, especially here in California. But it's the single greatest way to build wealth. We all know that, especially for people that are burning cash on rent. And you know all the benefits of home ownership. So I personally call them, get them fired up. I find out what their goals are. I send them a goal worksheet. I do a video presentation on different loan scenarios that they're comfortable with. I always prop up you as the agent, like, hey, you're working with one of the best. And communication is very important to me and just making people feel comfortable. So I take pride on doing that and would love to partner with you guys. And now a couple more things, print marketing. We've got all kinds of different things. We can meet one-on-one about this, what we can do for our referral partners. But I can tell you that list reports is one of my favorites, and we pay this. It's a co-branding deal, but single property websites, but most importantly, your marketing kit. So anytime you have a listing, once you're signed up for this, you will automatically get your just listed, just sold, your open house. They have demographics on the neighborhoods, the schools. It's all automated. It's just sitting there done for you, ready to print. It's pretty cool. And then they have all of these social media shareables, and you can put in whatever zip codes you want, and it's real-time information and market data. And I use it myself. I love it, and it's really cool. So there's a lot more to it than that. I can send you guys a video on it if you want. And then demographics, the quickest way to a commission in today's market. I've got to tell you about this data guy I was talking
Okay,
about.
this is,
So
yeah, this is incredible. I'm
this is
so
the
excited
meat.
about it. Yeah.
This is what Rick was excited about.
Well, I'm
So
excited about
this guy-
you and your shoulders and your arms, but I'm also excited about this.
Embarrassing. Okay, so as we slowly move towards a recession, I'm calling this a stagflation. Your market still suffers from not enough inventory, and interest rates are too high for many people to qualify. There's 4 predominant demographics of sellers right now. So what this guy does is he breaks down like what's the probability factors, what's selling in any given market. And like I said, he's a data guy. So he has 8 data points, 8 resources, or 8 data companies that he uses. And 3 of them we don't have any access to, but a lot of them are like Black Knight, CoreLogic. And then he built these software programs where he aggregates all of the content from all 8. And the 3 that we don't have access to, that nobody does except for him, is like the Fannie, Freddie, and Ginnie type databases. So he pays a lot of money for the stuff, but he aggregates it. But then he built these algorithms that says, okay, well, based on all of the data, 21% of the listings sold in the last 4 months were landlords. 27% were move-up sellers, or whatever it is. He has it all broken down, and he'll do this for your zip code. And he says, here's the people that we need to be going after, and here's how to do it. So here's something I did with him. So this is called the cardio report, and this is something you can sign up for. And I did Castro Valley, Concord, Danville, Dublin, Fremont, Hayward, Livermore, Pleasanton, and San Ramon. So I think you can do 5 for, I think it's $25 a month. We'll look at it in a minute, but it breaks it all down. So let's just take Castro Valley. There's total property, 17,000, owner occupied, 86%, 15,000. Investors, there's 2,200, but here's where the meat is. The target investors, there's 277 of them. Why are they targets? He'll tell you, and he'll describe why. And he'll say, because these people didn't get their forbearance cured, and they're just breaking even, or they have a little bit of equity left, but they're dumping their properties because they want to get that equity, get it sold before they lose the equity. So he's got really good stuff. He's tested every type of postcard, every type of letter, every type of phone call, every type of communication method to see what works most efficiently. And he'll even send you guys the cards printed, put a stamp on it and ready to go, but they're like one-liners. It says, what would you do? How would you feel with your investment property if it was to adjust another 10%, which could happen? And they're like, wow, I would sell it. So it's really good information. But let me get to part of this report. He'll tell you, like, underwater sellers, why? Why should I target underwater sellers? Well, because of the downturn in values over the last 9 to 18 months. He goes over it. Why target investors? Well, property values have declined. A certain small 3 or 4 properties, like the little mom and pop shop investors, they become selling their properties in larger numbers each month. For some, the motivation is the lost value. They're called investors for a reason. And it's because it's been the status of their renters. During the pandemic affected renters that were granted rent abatement for up to 24 months. And like a mortgage forbearance, renters were required to begin repaying their deficiency balances in January of this year. That repayment period is 36 months. However, some of these renters have not begun repaying or curing their rent abatement balances, which is causing investors and landlords to consider selling after evicting the renter. So he'll explain and really educate you guys on who you should be going after and why. And then finally, and he'll tell you, what's selling in your market. There's a lot of us, like, we don't even know our own demographics. Like, what percentage of investors are selling in your market? What percentage of move-up buyers? And do you even know who they are and how to go after them? So that's what he's really, really good at. So the tier 1, 400 records, $20 a month. Basically, it provides the target data for each demographics in Excel with an overview and explanation of the most effective marketing strategies, included multiple scripting messages for use in social media and person consumer direct marketing. Tier 2, He'll do all of that, plus 4 to 6 uniquely designed, pre-addressed, two-sided postcards ready to print and mail or hand deliver. And then he's also got coaching availability. And I think on the coaching part, you can go up to 8 people. So find 8 friends and make it super cheap. And it's $300 a week for a 1-hour session to go over all of these strategies and how to go after these people. I mean, it's like I said, I haven't worked with him personally, but I was referred to him. I met him in LA, and I know he works with agents across the country. So I'm thinking, well, what the heck? In this market, when we need to give some new things a try, $300 divided by 8 people, it seemed like a no-brainer to me. So also the cardio reports, I think, are like, I think a lot of the data might be free when you do the coaching. So I don't know exactly, but what I can do is maybe I'll get with Rick and we'll set up another call just with the data guy, and he can kind of go over a lot of the stuff and some really good data. And any questions? That's it. I actually landed the plane in time, Ricardo.
I'm talking and I'm on mute, sorry. You did wonderfully well. And I'm going to, so that everybody can see everybody else here. I want to thank you first, Paul, from the bottom of my heart. But what I'd love is if, since we have a couple of minutes, and I'd like to end early because it is a holiday weekend. If you're not aware, Monday is Juneteenth. It's a national holiday. And look, you're getting nice comments in the chat.
Thank you, guys.
Does anybody have any thoughts, comments, questions, ahas, or anything they'd like to add? Paul, you'll send me that stuff because you had a lot of great companies written in there. Like I already downloaded the Hit 'em Up app while you were talking about it. Yeah.
Hey, you guys just take a screenshot right now of my contact information.
Oh,
and
I
we can set up
stopped
one-on-one
sharing.
appointments.
I stopped sharing it, Paul. So share it again. Sorry.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, and just we can set up one-on-one appointments because I would love to work with your buyers, obviously. So can you guys see this?
Yes, Lucky. How can I help? Yes.
Sorry, and I could not access the chat or the thing, so I was just able to get on this chat thing. What did you think? What do you think of Follow-Up Boss?
Follow-Up
I
Boss
love
is
Follow-Up
great.
Boss. That's actually one of the ones I was trying to actually remember and couldn't. So that's ironic that you brought it up when I talked about CRMs.
A lot of my coaching clients use Follow-Up Boss. It's a very, very popular product. It's used by some of the biggest. It's used by some of the top huge teams across the country because they find it easier to track many, many leads through Follow-Up Boss.
Yeah, Follow-Up Boss is awesome. I think it's in my first slide under past clients.
And I love your presentation, sir. I'm sorry
thank
I
you
didn't
so
get
much.
your name. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, and then Paul, send everything out also
Yeah.
in the follow-up email that we send. So, okay.
All right, everybody. Hey, keep positive. Have a great weekend. Implement, get to work with some new stuff. Keep your brain busy so we don't sit around and stress out.
Everybody
have a great weekend, you guys.
Okay.
Happy Father's Day, Paul, and all the dads.
You too.
Happy
care,
Father's
guys.
Day.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, guys.